What is a dialogue system anyways? If you have heard the term dialogue system but have no idea what it means, or if you're curious how the speech is handled in your typical RPG game, this is the video for you. Hopefully, after watching this video, you will have a better understanding of dialogue systems and their features. Talking to NPCs is a big part of RPGs and any game that has a strong storyline. From the classic RPG games such as Baldur's Gate and Mass Effect to more action-packed games like Half-Life, you talk to different NPCs in the game. Some games are even made around conversations, like Monkey Island. Does anybody remember that amazing game? Anyways, conversations are a big part of video games and they deserve love and attention. Dialogue systems are the way we code up how NPCs talk, much the same way that we use nav mesh system to code up how NPCs move.
You're the ugliest monster ever created.
If you don't count all the ones you've dated.
My name is Hossein. I've worked as a software engineer at the large tech companies until I got bored. Now I make video games with Unity. Most recently, I'm working on a puzzle adventure game called Mr. X. And in the game you talk a lot to Mr. X, the AI character in the game. I am using Unity and Unity is great. It has a lot of features and assets that help bootstrap your game. However, a dialogue system is not part of Unity. So after searching through the assets store for different dialogue systems, I decided to write my own. I want to note that this is typically not the way you do things in Unity, and usually you find a good asset that you can use. In this case, since I had the necessary background, I decided to write a dialogue system. So in this video, I'm going to talk about dialogue systems in general, what their features are, and how they help us develop games. Now, what is a dialogue system? Isn't a UI box with some text in it a dialogue system? The short answer is no, that is just a UI. And you can probably make that in 10 minutes. But the real job of a dialogue system is to help us organize and develop the conversations for our NPCs and also code up the logic so that they say it at the right time. And in the rest of the video, I'm going to focus on the core features of the dialogue systems that are not related to the UI. The UI itself is part of a dialogue system. UI has a text for what is being said, probably a text box for the name of the character that is speaking, maybe an image for the avatar of the character. But all of that is independent of what is being said and when it's being said. Now let's jump in on the non-UI parts of a dialogue system. Dialog trees are the most recognized features of dialogue systems. A dialogue tree lets you describe a sequence of dialogues and how the NPC responds to different choices that the player makes. Let's take a look at an example. The NPC starts by saying hi. Then the player has two options to choose from. I want to fight you, or let's be friends. And the NPC replies to the first one by saying fine, meet me at the main square in the afternoon. And replies to the second one by saying sure, I'm going to hunt some dragons later, wanna join? And the player has two options to choose from in response to that. Hell yeah, I'd love some dragon kebabs. Or you could say no, dragons are an endangered species and need to be saved. As you can see, each choice takes the conversation in a different direction, and by describing the conversations in this manner, it is easy to organize and visualize conversations. Dialogue systems usually have visual editors for dialogue trees, and also a tree-like syntax if you want to code them up directly. This core feature already helps with describing and editing conversations in a more natural way. While the structure looks like a tree, the name comes from trees in graph theory. You can read up on them if you are more curious about them, but to use them in your game, you probably don't need that level of detail. A dialog tree represents a single conversation. But in a game, you will have many conversations happening between different parties and different times. So you need some sort of glue to stitch all these conversations together and to the rest of the game. And that's why there are other features in the dialog system like conditional filters, triggers, and actions. Now, before we discuss the other features of the dialog system, let's make an example so that we have a talking point when we are discussing them. Say you are building an RPG game and there is a helper character called Lady Pirate. She has an introduction dialogue sequence that you can play through only once. She has a helper dialogue sequence for some of the quests. So depending on what quest the player is currently undertaking, she has a corresponding dialogue available. And if the user is low on HP, she offers help. Each one of these conversations or topics will have its own dialog tree, and we already know how to use those. But you can see that each one can be a complex conversation with a lot of back and forths and with different choices that the user makes. For example, for the third scenario, the user can either accept or reject the offer. With that, let's jump into conditions, triggers, and actions. You probably have seen triggers and conditions if you have worked with animator state machines in Unity. And in the dialog systems, they function the same. A condition basically tells whether a dialogue is available at a point in time. In the third scenario in our example case, if the user's HP is low, the NPC offers help. So if HP is low is the conditional filter. The action basically conveys to the rest of the game the outcome of a conversation. For example, if you accept a quest during a conversation, then the quest UI needs to get updated, and basically other parts of the game should know about the decision that was made. And actions can be represented in different ways. In some of the more advanced dialog systems on the asset store, you can use a action script, basically coding up the actions in a embedded language, which is crazy. The third one is a trigger. A trigger basically starts a conversation. It can be the human player walking up to an NPC and pressing the action button, as is probably the case with most RPGs, or it can be another event somewhere in the game world, maybe an explosion or something else. So to recap, these are the main features of dialog system: dialog trees, conditional filters, triggers, and actions. This list is by no means exhaustive. If you know any feature that I missed, let me know in the comment section below. What I have covered in this video are basically the more common features that you can find in most dialog systems. Another related topic that I want to cover in this video is how the speech or conversations for an NPC is organized in your game. You can basically divide up the dialogues that an NPC says into two categories. One is as part of a storyline that happens only once. For example, if you are going on a quest and during that quest there are a set of things that happen, say you go inside a cave and then a giant spider appears and that triggers a conversation. That conversation is going to happen only once. So it is okay to hard code it and play it in reaction to that event in the cave. Some other dialogues can happen over and over again. Again, going back to our third part in our example, every time the user's HP falls low, the medic on the group or the other NPC can offer help. So that happens regardless of what quest you're on. And it is good to place these in different files or different places. One is going to be part of the story and the other is going to be part of that NPC's character. And the good thing is that the dialog system with the triggers and conditions can cover both. So given the same features that we discussed, you can have a file for permanent behaviors or permanent traits of an NPC character, and you can have different conversations that pertain to a story in the file for that story. I hope this last section made sense. I think it is more useful if you're working on a larger game. But since I started working on that demo project, I realized this soon, so I just put it out there. As I mentioned before, I'm making another video after this one. That one is going to be a hands-on video on how to use the dialogue system I made in a sample RPG game. If that's something that interests you make sure to check back and watch that video too. I have been a software engineer in my past life, and making videos for YouTube is new to me. Leave a comment down below in the comment section telling me how this video was. Did I go into enough depth? Did I explain dialogue systems well? Any feedback is appreciated and it will help me with my future videos. That's it for today. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I post regularly about game making with Unity and also about my progress with my game Mr. X. If you are interested in those, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I put a link to my Instagram page down below in the description. I'm trying to post a video every Thursday, but as you can see, things haven't gone according to plan so far. But hey, I'm getting better at it, so hopefully I'll see you next Thursday. Thanks for watching, see you around.